Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel. This is my flying monkey of a co-host who's really here only for my entertainment, Tanner Dykstra. And today, we're here to talk about Wicked for Good. Tanner, they've been touting it the epic conclusion to a two-movie saga. Can you believe it?
That's right.
We've been waiting so long for this.
Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo told me personally before the movie that it was the epic conclusion.
Yes, yeah. And they also said the tick of a clock or whatever. They fucking say that so many times.
They say that a billion. Take a shot every time they say tick of a clock in this movie.
Just give me a clock tick.
Tucker, finish the intro and then we'll talk more about it.
Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts during the Discord, all that stuff. Tanner. The epic conclusion is here. Tanner, it took no more than a tick of a clock. And we're here to review Wicked for Good. Let me know your thoughts about the movie, Tanner.
Oh, well, Tucker. Just 1 year ago, one revolution around the sun ago.
One tick of a clock ago.
One tick of a clock ago.
Tanner, we have to say it as many times in our review as they say it in the movie.
So
no. You better start ticking.
Okay, all right. Tucker, we were here 1 year ago talking about the first Wicked film, and you and I were tepid fans of that film, I would say. We had some reservations about it. And towards the end of that review, I remember us talking about, the second part is coming out in a year, and, I've heard chatter about how Act 2 of Wicked, the second half of the Wicked story, is a little weak. So we'll have to see what they do, if they change anything like that. Tucker, I'm here today to report to you that Act 2 of Wicked is indeed weak, and that translates to the cinematic format that it was translated into. I'm not a big fan of Wicked for Good. I think it is a noticeable downstep from the first movie, and best thing I can really say about it is that it made me appreciate the first film a little more, because it is trading on a lot of work that is done in that first film, if we want to talk about character and story, without doing any solid or coherent work on its own in this film.
Yeah, I've got complicated feelings on Wicked for Good.
Okay.
My opinions on the first film, Wicked, have grown over the times that I've seen it, which is 3 times.
Yeah.
I watched it the first time. We reviewed it. I wasn't very hot on it. I saw it again with my family. I'm like, I like some of these songs quite a bit. Actually, I'm remembering some of these funny moments because there's a lot of good gags and little bits in that first movie. Yeah. And then when we reviewed it for Quest, I really warmed up to it and was like, actually, I really do like that movie quite a bit. And so I've been anticipating this second movie kind of hesitantly.
Sure.
Because I knew that it took me 3 watches to really get into that first film, and I had heard, as you said, that the second half of the real musical and
stage musical,
the stage musical, and then what would be adapted here, people weren't as hot on. I say I have complicated feelings because I think this is a step down. I think noticeably the music is way worse in basically across the board. There's maybe 1 or 2 songs that I will compliment in this.
I would talk about that. I would say the same.
And I think it's got a lot of pacing problems. I think it's got a lot of character problems. It's really imbalanced in places. But I think as 2 halves of a whole, the second part, Wicked for Good, does solidify a lot of the themes. It solidifies a lot of the character arcs. And it also, and I just kept thinking this as I was watching this movie in particular, like, man, this makes The Wizard of Oz so much more interesting. This movie, the Wicked cinematic universe, is to me, even though I don't like this movie quite as much, I think it's fine. This is the reason why prequels are interesting to me. Is because the world building and the character work and the themes of Wicked and Wicked for Good make me much more interested in Oz as a place. And as the Wizard of Oz story is they get a harrow needle and inject it into Wicked for Good, and you get a little buzz, and you're like, what the hell is that? That's Dorothy.
Heroin famous for giving you a little buzz.
They didn't use very much here.
Okay, fair enough.
But it made me much more interested in exploring the world of Oz and rewatching The Wizard of Oz, a story that I don't have any particular connection to.
Sure.
So I like this. I think that a lot of what worked in the first movie works in this one. If the performances are, they were recorded at the same time as the same actors. They're just about as good. This production design is still excellent. The color, the costume design, this is a big budget spectacle film. But I vastly prefer the first one. I think the tone and the humor and focus. I don't know if I would have said the first movie felt focused when I saw it, but now that I've seen this, I'm like,
Huh.
oh, the focus
Yeah.
of Wicked. But
That's like,
it's a lot. It's
like
a
I
step
said.
down a lot of ways. But we're
Yeah,
gonna
like I
let's dig in, Tanner. Tanner,
let's
put on
dig
your
in.
bib, get your fork and knife, and
All right,
okay.
sounds good. So the film picks up several months or maybe years after the
It,
first film ends.
months sounds right. Alphabet's just getting settled into her little hovel. Nessa's the
Yeah.
mayor. We got a little stuff going
Things
on.
have progressed,
Yeah,
certainly. And the first thing one of the first things that occurred to me as as we shifted back into the gear of watching Wicked, is
yeah,
seeing the second story unfold, was something that I quite liked about the first film, and many people quite liked. When we can start talking here about performances. Ariana Grande, who is I would say like the fan favorite character of
sure,
these movies.
yeah.
She is the one that people often tout and talk about. I was like, hey, who knew Ariana Grande really good in those Wicked movies? She is doing a lot of the same stuff here, especially towards the beginning of the film,
Yeah.
operating in a very like bubbly, naive, jokey sort of realm. I found that it wasn't working as well for me
Hmm.
in this time around. I think because I just don't find it as funny what she is doing when in the story, that is intrinsic to her being the face of a fascist propaganda machine.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know, you're complicating this a little bit to a point where I don't find it as heartful and endearing anymore.
Hmm. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I think the movie knows that though,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I think she knows that. The very
Oh, of
the
course.
interesting thing about the time skip that we have in the characters of Wicked for Good is that all of the motivations of the characters that we saw in that first movie have taken a step forward, and
Hmm.
now everyone's feeling really uncomfortable with the what's going on in Oz. We've got Glinda as a part of the wizards general menagerie of characters.
Yeah.
Um, she's gonna be the face. She's Glinda the good. They're doing this marriage to Fiero.
Hmm.
But and she's excited to be a part of that. But she also knows that it's fake. And she also knows that they're doing something to her friend by hyping her up as evil that she's
Hmm.
not comfortable with. And so I think that the movie plays into that in part because I agree the bubbliness is there in the beginning. It quickly fades away though. I think I like Glinda more here because she's not as annoying. She was very annoying in that first
Oh,
movie, and
sure.
intentionally so. But
Uh,
I think she's matured quite a bit here, and not
hmm.
necessarily that the performance is a lot better, but frankly, it fits my speed a lot more. And knowing how I felt about Glinda in that first movie, and just basically seeing her as obnoxious and not too much
Hmm.
more, I think giving her this texture of character work where she is interested in being a public figure and having the crowd hype her up and stuff, and then also having this darker side. This is what I really want to get into of some of the character work of this movie that I think is
Hmm.
actually pretty interesting, pretty textual. Um, that was very compelling to me as a step forward from that first movie, where I basically felt her arc was pretty flat in the first one, but here we really take a step forward, and it recolors that bubbliness. I think in a kind of an interesting way.
Yeah, so we also get like some like flashback backstory on her
Yeah,
as well, which I think that the movie thinks it's doing something pretty profound,
yeah, yeah,
with like her as a child and her mom saying like the only thing that's important is if people like you. I was like,
yeah,
that is something I gleaned from Glinda's character and basically her opening minutes and
yeah,
of the first film. I didn't really need an origin of that feeling because it's not that interesting, frankly.
yeah.
Um, but and to your point, Tucker, yes, like there is some apprehension on her part, but I don't feel as though the apprehension that is introduced in the first act of Wicked for Good and the apprehension or her feelings at the very end of the film signify any sort of character movement for me.
Hmm.
This is something I was really feeling watching the entire film. I was like, what's changing in our characters during this movie
Hmm.
specifically? Is at the beginning of the movie, she's like, I like being in power, I like being popular. But I feel bad about my friend being like a symbol of evil.
Mhm.
And spoilers for the end of the movie, she is like, I like being a figure of power in Oz. I like my popularity. I'm taking control as the figurehead of this land now. And she's like, my friend is still a symbol of evil, and everyone thinks of her as an evil bastard, like a dastardly being who did
A
nothing but ruin
bastardly
Oz.
being?
Dastardly being, why
Well,
dastardly,
no,
bastardly.
yeah, she's a bastard
She
child.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
which is
is.
interesting.
Um, which is part of the wild ending of this movie
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm like, what the fuck is this
yeah.
ending? But again, that's something I was like, what about Glinda changes? Like, she doesn't make any
Yeah.
huge grand statement. She basically just takes control of Oz away from the outwardly evil people and is going to be a good, magnanimous
Yeah,
leader
yeah.
of Oz now. But like, what has changed within her?
Well, I think it is her realizing the true power that the public figures have.
Mm,
Over the course of the movie, seeing the way that they treat her friend and coming to turn against them. She's hesitant at the beginning. She's uncomfortable with it, but she's not explicitly against them. And over the course of the movie, that definitely does shift to where by the end of the
mhm.
movie, she's locking up Madame Morrible and flipping the bird to the wizard.
Yeah, that's crazy that she does
Yeah,
that. I
what the
can't believe
heck?
that.
This movie PG.
Well, that's actually a reference to the Wizard of Oz. If you look in the background of the Wizard of Oz, you can see Glinda flipping the bird.
Tanner flipping the
Yeah.
flying monkey.
Flip. There you go. Very good.
There we go.
Very
There we
good.
go.
Um,
But so
yeah.
I think that's the arc is that I think the arc is from the end of the first movie where she is pretty brainwashed, all things considered, where she's like
Mhm,
she as Alphaba is flying off in the sky. This is why I thought the arc was pretty flat in the first
mhm,
movie. She's still very bought into the wizard and to the fame and the power and the possibility of Oz. Um, and in this movie, we we skipped the step, frankly, of her getting
mhm,
disillusioned. It happens off screen. It happens in the downtime between the two movies, and then we
mhm,
see that solidify over the course of it. And so I'm thinking more of it as the arc from the beginning of the first movie to the end of this one. I think she's a radically different character, but I think you make a good point that it becomes she becomes more resolute in the arc that she starts at the beginning of this, but
mhm.
it's not a particularly wide arc. But it is wide from like where the character started at the beginning of the first movie.
That is fair enough, and that is getting into like, are we looking at this as like two separate pieces, or are we looking at it as the entire Wicked story? I don't know. We're reviewing Wicked for good here
Yeah.
ultimately, and if they wanted us to think of it as one movie instead of just chasing the bag, they would have made it one movie because you can do that. The original stage play is 2.5 hours with an intermission.
Mm,
So I digress.
yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Elphaba. Elphaba. Again, she is like the moral center of the entire movie. So I'm not as critical of her like not having an arc necessarily. Basically, what she is radicalized to and pushed to at the end of the first film is where she is here. And does she really change? I suppose that
In this
I
movie, no, I
well,
don't think so. I mean, I think
herein lies the issue. I feel
she becomes
she is
doomer pilled about three
she
quarters of the way
becomes
through the movie.
she becomes doomer pilled and becomes
Suicidal?
evil. Yeah,
No, no,
or
no, she's not evil. She's just accepting of the fact that she cannot change Oz, and
uh
she sees the possibility that having an enemy, and this is where the movie is really odd,
yeah.
is the possibility that having an enemy for the people to rally against
Mhm.
is in some way a potential motivator of unification. And so she
Uh
just kind of
huh.
throws her hands up in the air and she's
And
like,
she's like, I
well,
guess I guess I will allow myself to be a bad guy
yeah.
if it brings together the people of Oz. Because she has the song, and I think to your point about there being one or two good songs in this movie, "No Good Deed" I think is a
Oh,
pretty out and
yeah.
out banger.
It's a pretty good one.
Where there she has lines that are like, no good deed goes unpunished, and so no good deed I will ever do again. And in the moment I'm like, okay, so she's becoming like the Wicked Witch here.
Yeah.
Because listen, I'm not familiar with Act 2 of Wicked. I didn't know what direction the last hour of this movie was going to go. Is like, is she becoming evil right now? Like,
No,
is
but
this
she
is this
doesn't.
the moment?
Because she
She
never does
doesn't.
anything after that.
Uh-huh.
She's at the castle. And
Yeah,
then
she's
Glinda shows up, and then she's like, I'm gonna water bucket myself.
yeah,
I'm gonna do the ALS ice bucket challenge and melt into the floor.
well, Dorothy's gonna do the ALS ice bucket challenge
That's true,
to her.
no, but
and then
that's how
she's
the ALS ice bucket challenge works, right? Someone else dumps the water.
oh, someone does that.
Is that true?
You're so right. You're
Yeah,
so
yeah,
right.
so it works. I did that once. Did you ever do that?
I did that, yeah.
Yeah.
How much money did you raise for ALS?
Congrats, we stopped ALS.
We did it. What was it, Tucker? What was I? But yes, yeah, she's just at this castle for like
Yeah.
the rest of the movie. After that, Glinda shows up, they sing a song, and then she fakes her death, and then she again runs away, just living on in infamy in Oz, basically. With what Tucker, we can talk about it, but we'll talk about who she runs away with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Cynthia Erivo still good in this, certainly.
She doesn't have as much to do, which is odd. I do think that this is more of a Glinda movie. I think the first one is more Elphaba, and this one is more Glinda. Because this, and frankly, what's interesting is the arc of the two movies is Elphaba being radicalized, and then that in turn radicalizing Glinda. And so that the first movie and then the second movie, bing bang boom. And what that means in this movie, to your point, she's on the run. She is trying to do what she can to save the animals and to call the failures and the lies of the wizards to the people. But she just fails. Like this is a movie that is our protagonist, Elphaba, it's a series of her being unable to achieve her goals, which is interesting. I don't know if I feel that's a strong thing, but like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I felt like she didn't have like a ton to do, is because it's kind of just a downward slope if you're Elphaba.
Yeah, her agency, her ability to do change basically is supposed to be living on in Glinda as effectively like a white savior. Wicked is a real like white savior movie.
That's very interesting. Instead of a green savior.
And well, yes, instead of a green savior who, is maligned for the color of her skin and is a champion of people whose rights are being taken away from them.
Yeah.
No, she just lives on being a villain, and everyone thinks she's a bad person, and her white savior friend who rules the land doesn't do anything to rectify that image or anything. Which is another like what that I'm like with the movie.
That's what's really interesting about this is I think the two of us who have not seen the stage musical and who have not read the book that this is based off of, we can pretty safely assume that's how those end as well. And that just makes me curious of why they wrote it that way in the first place. Because like I don't envy if you're adapting a very famous stage musical and a novel in turn. With that kind of ending, like you got to do it. It's not the screenwriter's problem. It's not. Well, but maybe you don't. Like we've seen plenty of movies that change the endings of their
Hey, listen,
material.
if you can come up with a better idea to end the story, I would do it, because this ending is pretty nuts.
It's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, the that is like the moral lesson of Wicked ultimately, is that like is that people can't change like en masse, and that you have to, I guess, take circuitous routes to getting your political goals met, which may include you becoming like a social martyr and never being looked on as like a good person. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's very odd, and I do think that the ending is so confusing that it does, for me, reframe a lot of the intent of what these characters are doing. That I think up until the moments when I realized that Elphaba is going, like, that's the intent, is that Elphaba and Glinda were going to agree in whatever way that this is what's going to go forward. I think the character arcs and the motivations and the themes of the movie are actually pretty interesting and solid. And then that happens, and I'm like, well, I don't know what you're trying to say. Like, what are you trying to inspire in the people? I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. Tucker, I want also to talk about the Wizard of Oz of it all.
Sure.
The 1939 film Wizard of
Oh,
Oz.
of
You're
course.
familiar?
Yes. I heard of it. Yes.
Um, I knew that it took place concurrent to the event of
Yeah.
Act Two of Wicked. I think it's really poorly done here.
I agree.
Hmm.
Th- this is what's so fascinating on like a metatextual artistic possibility level about Wicked,
Yeah.
and why I find it compelling. I don't know if it's great, but I find it compelling the way that they do it in this movie. Is
Okay.
if you watch The Wizard of Oz, as we have, as many Americans have, when you're young and you learn the themes of it, and you
The
know
great American fairy tale,
yeah,
The Wizard of Oz.
exactly. And then you learn by watching Wicked, whether that's the stage musical, the book, or the films, that there is in the wider world of Oz, there is this other story going on.
Hmm.
God, it makes the Wizard of Oz so much more interesting. It makes the Wizard of Oz so much more interesting. But if you have not seen the Wizard of Oz, Wicked for Good makes no goddamn sense at all. And so it's a prequel, but you have to have seen the Wizard of Oz to understand why Wicked is interesting, because it makes the Wizard of Oz interesting, because that fairy tale actually has this darker side to it. No, there's more this political edge to it. But then also you're like, yeah, but that doesn't excuse the fact that the Wizard of Oz, specifically Dorothy element of this movie, and the transformation into the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, whatever. Those motherfuckers. All of that is really poorly handled in this movie. The fucking tornado appears, the house falls on Nessa, and you're like, huh?
What now?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay,
Because the movie just kind of ignores this. It's very important, but it pushes it off into the dark corner. It's like, no, you know what happens. We don't need to deal with that.
So I'll say one thing, and then I want to address something you said. This film decides to not show you Dorothy. They have not cast a face to Dorothy. Basically, you never see her face. You see like her like a blurry like Bigfoot passing. Tucker, are you going to say Ben-Hur?
No. What?
Oh.
No, you don't. Oh. Jesus, that's funny. That's funny.
Jesus.
That's a good pull. I was gonna say Air. You remember how?
Yes, it is exactly like Michael Jordan in Air. Where you're like, just get a guy to play Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It is, or just get somebody to play Wicked. It is so distracting Sorry, Dorothy. Did I say Wicked?
You did say Wicked.
Get somebody to play Wicked.
Cynthia Erivo plays Wicked.
Get somebody to play Dorothy. It is so distracting that
weird.
You keep trying to hide Dorothy from us. And I get that, like, maybe the thought process is that if we did get somebody and Dorothy had like lines or whatever, that would distract from the story itself, and like it would like, oh, now we're doing more Wizard of Oz than we're doing a Wicked conclusion. I would argue it is much more distracting for me being like, why are we hiding her? What is this? Like, I don't know. Or in like we actively never see her. We at the end of the film we watch like Dorothy's shadow splash water on the shadow of Cynthia Erivo as Glinda looks on, like from hidden in the closet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, and like we always show up to a scene like just before or after Dorothy and Scarecrow and Tin Man and the Lion have like showed up or left.
Yeah,
that is distracting itself. I would argue.
Here's what I'll say. I agree with you, but it's actually Dorothy that I have the least issue with in terms of
for reasons. Yeah, I can understand your point.
It is Dorothy. We know what happens to her. We know that character. We know her entire story. If you have seen The Wizard of Oz, she's a pretty simple character. She collects her fucking gangly band of misfits. She goes to the wizard. She kills the witch. It's a pretty cut and dry thing. What I take issue with is the way that Dorothy siphons numerous major supporting characters, and because she is shrouded in mystery and we can't fucking see her and we can't follow any part of her story or have a scene with his lines, we abandon Bach and Fierro for ostensibly the entire goddamn movie.
Yeah.
And this is what's so frustrating to me about the way that I like how this ties into all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can put the puzzle pieces in my mind together of why I think it's engaging, but I have to do that work because the movie, uh, especially on the writing side for its supporting characters, I think is really, really poor, which is
Uh-huh.
in contrast to the first movie that I think is actually very well balanced in terms of the motivations and the screen times of Bach and Fierro and Nessa on top of Elphaba and Glinda. Um,
Yep.
and in this movie, Bach is barely in the movie. Nessa is
Yeah.
barely in the movie. Fierro's more in the movie, but then he's not in
Yeah.
the movie. And the
He is
wizard
not in
is
the he's not in the
barely in the
last
movie.
out he's not in the last hour of the movie,
Yeah.
Fierro. And yeah,
It's
they
it's so weird that my point is it's so weird that the majority
yeah.
of the cast here gets nothing to do in this goddamn movie.
Yeah. Um So, the Tin Man is like actively is Bach and is like actively wants to kill Elphaba.
Yes.
I don't know if listen, it's been a while. It's been years since I've seen the Wizard of Oz. I don't know if that's his deal in the Wizard of Oz. Is him like hoisting an axe in the air, be like, "Yeah, the witch fucked me over. I want to kill that witch."
Yeah.
And he has like a pitchfork and torch raising song where he's like, and she fucked over this lion when he was a cub, right? Lion Coleman Domingo Lion, who has two lions and they're not
That's
here.
that's Coleman Domingo?
Yes, it is.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
He that character's barely. Like
No,
that's like, oh, huh?
Tucker. They add in the scene in the forest or whatever when the lion shows up, and she's like, she like ruined my life when I was a
Oh.
cub or whatever. That is an added scene. I learned this. That is
I
an
like
added scene
that
that's
scene
not in the
actually.
musical.
I,
Yeah.
I, I like that scene because I think that for me and the motivations of Elphaba in this movie and the things that she does get to do to the movie's credit, I think
Hmm.
that that start and the way that she is trying to uh, stop the animals from leaving and all of that, I think is actually pretty interesting and a very good continuation of what's established in the first film. The animal subplot gets kind of left to the background for the
It does.
majority of the movie, and
Certainly.
then they just fucking come waltzing back
They're just
after.
back.
Yeah, they're
They're
just back.
just back.
The lion thing, I don't like. It doesn't really bother me, but it's not good. The
No.
justification of that the lion thinks that Elphaba is wicked
Hmm.
because when he was little, but
She.
like Tanner, how
Yeah.
long has it been? That
This is my
lion was a
question.
fucking baby.
Has it been years since the end of Wicked?
I
I don't
guess
know.
it might have been, man.
But then yeah, because then Bach, aka the Tin Man,
Yes.
is like because she didn't let him fight his own battles when he was younger. That is why he is cowardly. Like it is just obviously this is just more stuff being like heaped upon Elphaba as like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
is the source
It's
of or
exaggeratory.
the
Yeah.
yeah the cause of blame for everything here. But yeah. Um the makeup on Tin Man looked good. I want to say
Oh yeah,
that
it's great.
the makeup
Yeah.
and the costuming on him is great. Which is why I also feel the reveal of Jonathan Bailey as the Scarecrow at the very end sucks so much because he's just got a shitty CGI burlap face. I was like,
I
do
liked
like
it.
a cool.
I think it's
You
cool.
liked it?
Yeah, I think it's good. Liked it a lot actually.
I was like, do a cool costume for him too. Do a cool practical costume for
Yeah,
him.
no, I agree that it could have been better, but I like the design a lot. I like the human eyes. I think and the eyebrows especially. I think that the color palette matches really well.
Mm.
His emotions
Tucker, do you
really
know who
still
else
shine through.
who else had human eyes? The guy who played Scarecrow in 1939 in Wizard of Oz, but who was in a practical costume.
That's very interesting. Very good point. That's a very good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So Fierro.
Fiero.
Um, it's very interesting that his role in this movie is as a love interest, basically
Hmm.
exclusively, and he gets kind of passed back and forth.
Right.
And then and then he gets his fucking guts torn out, and they fucking
Yeah.
crucify him and stab him and take his shit in and
Well, yeah,
fucking
I
beat
mean,
him up and
this is just like the sweaty material where they're like, I don't know, make some of the side characters from Wizard of Oz. Have her cast a spell that just turns him into the Scarecrow. Have her cast a
yeah.
spell that turns Bach into the Tin Man, and then there are those characters, and it all
Yeah,
ties together. You see?
well, I mean, I think the reason why that's not an issue that I have with this movie is because
Hmm.
I do think that a lot of what the movie is doing thematically, as attributed to the magic in the movie, in the world of the film, is that
Hmm.
uh all of these wishes that you have, it's a monkey's paw situation. It's that you
Hmm.
might be doing something extraordinary, but you're forcing change in a way that it's not supposed to happen, and so it has these
Hmm.
negative effects with it. And so I
Yeah,
like
I
the way
understand.
that
I
the
understand
monkeys
the.
that
I.
don't want to be the way
Mhm.
that they are. Madame Morrible
Mhm.
just doesn't care and does all this fucking stuff. And
Right.
then the Tin Man, she does save his life, but it does change him irrevocably. Same with
Hmm.
Fierro.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I like
Well,
those steps. That makes sense.
Tucker, the thematic steps I understand. It's
Yeah, yeah,
just the she saves him by making him the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz.
yeah.
She saves Fiyero by making him the Scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. Like there is a jumble of steps that were like, and he's the character from the thing now.
Well,
That is like just the
yeah.
sweatiness I feel of like the of like trying to play with the mythology, I guess if you want to say that.
Well, here's
Uh,
here's what I'll say.
okay.
Is the logic jump is that there's magic, frankly. And
Well,
and,
well, yeah.
and so the reason why I don't have a problem with it being, oh, they turned into the character, is that,
Hmm.
I mean, like, I like that. As I've been saying,
Hmm.
Wicked, the fact that I know who Fiyero is, I know who Bach is, I know what their motivations are, I know their relationships to
Hmm.
these characters, the fact that they experienced this, that what they've gone through, um, that makes me a lot more interested in specifically the Tin Man and the Scarecrow as
But here's the
characters.
thing. Here's the thing about that though, is that it makes the Wizard of Oz. If you want to if you want to apply the things that happen in
Yeah, yeah.
Wicked to the Wizard of Oz, they're incompatible.
No,
It doesn't make sense.
yeah, then that is true. I have not seen The Wizard of Oz. Obviously, I just got home
Hmm.
from Wicked for good. I've not seen
Right.
it in a long time. I'm gonna I would like to rewatch it with all this
Hmm.
knowledge. Regardless, I because it is retroactive, it's all fucking
Hmm.
retconning anyway. I do kind of excuse that, and I do give the edge to Wicked for improving my thought process and appreciation of the characters. Period. Even
Hmm.
if the works made decades and decades apart are not
Hmm.
literally compatible, the thematics and the concepts I do think stitch together decently well. Where I do think that I will appreciate the Wizard of Oz, and I already do internally, but I
Hmm.
will appreciate the Wizard of Oz a lot more now that I know X, Y, and Z about. I mean, obviously, the Tin Man and Scarecrow, but even more so about Elphaba and Glinda, who are what this whole goddamn thing is really about. At the end of the day.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Wicked is ultimately like fan fiction of the Wizard of Oz. Like,
Yeah.
it does not for me factor into like the Wizard of Oz as a film that exists from 1939,
Mm.
like perhaps the most famous American film
Yeah.
ever
Yeah. Yeah.
made. Like, this is just some people on a lark like 30 years ago being like, what if Glinda and Elphaba like went to college together,
Yeah.
and like what if they fought over a boy? I
Yeah.
was like, those things again. It all feels incompatible in my mind, by based on the characters and the story material and everything, and just the stylings of the various times that these things came out.
Yeah.
Tucker. Anyway,
Yes.
um, the the fight, Fiero and fighting over the boy. If we want to return to
Yeah.
that, I mean, I don't know. Did you like the song that Elphaba and Fiero had? Like, I'll just ask you a question there.
Tanner,
Like their song? Yeah.
I was asleep.
You were asleep. Oh no.
Here's what happened. Here's what
Okay,
happened.
here we go.
Elphaba,
Okay.
there's this whole marriage going on. I know you heard about it. Glinda
Hmm.
the Good's gonna get married to Prince Fiero.
She is.
And Elphaba discovers behind a fucking rolling Jesus door
Yeah.
that there's all these animals. And
All these
she gets
animals, right?
pissed and she lets them out.
Mhm.
And I go,
Yeah. Oh wow.
and then
Okay.
and then I I
When do
open
you
my
wake up again?
I open my eyes a little like, oh, let's go, and then
Mhm.
and then I go, and suddenly the two of them are naked under a tree. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I see. So you slept through that entire song. Okay.
And I don't.
And maybe some
I talked.
additional story
I
material.
talked to
Yeah.
Keaton, and he told me what happened.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I actually missed very much. I think maybe it was out for
Okay.
like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Fair enough.
and then there's a tornado. I did miss why the tornado was happening. I was able to piece it together. But so
Oh,
I
yeah.
woke up. They're naked on a tree. I'm like, okay, I guess I saw that coming. And then
The,
there's a
the
fucking
tornado
tornado, and
happened.
it goes splat, and it kills
Well,
fucking
yeah, the
Nessa. I'm like,
tornado happens because Madame Morrible is literally like, need to kill
yeah,
Nessa
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Rose.
yeah,
So why don't I drop a house on
yeah.
her? Does she
But
know that Madame Morrible know that she's summoning a house? Anyway, the scene that ensues, the house, and when they see off Dorothy and everything like that, that is that is one of the moments that I feel sticks out like a real sore thumb in this movie is when Glinda and Elphaba like slap fight each other over
sure.
Fiero. I'm like, come on now. Like what this is like chum for like the wicked fans on Twitter to like gif this and be like, "Oh snap, shit's going down. The girls are fighting lol. Like that's when I'm like, are we really like kowtowing to this? Like we're stooping to this level? And filmmaking wise, it feels so different. Like it's shot at like a higher frame rate and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, it
Uh,
did feel a
uh,
little bit weird.
it was like,
Well,
what the
because
hell
it's
is this
shaky cam
moment?
for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, so I felt like that was pretty hammy,
No, but
and not in a way
what did you
that.
think of the Fiero and Elphaba song that I did not hear?
Oh, I mean, it's fine. Like,
Okay.
Jonathan Bailey has good on-screen chemistry
Yeah.
with
Oh,
everyone in this movie.
he
He's very
definitely does.
charismatic.
And
Hmm.
to admit that I did sleep through part of this movie,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
that does. I think watching that scene would probably change little bit of my thoughts on his inclusion in the movie. I like did not see part of it, so I
yeah.
did factor that in when I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about my thoughts on this. Um, yes, but I
Yes.
agree with you. When I woke up and I was like, oh, okay, that's how the house gets here. Oh, okay, that's how Nessa dies.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I agree. I don't care so much about the slap fight thing. I one thing I do think I will give this movie credit for is that
Mhm.
I think something you mentioned earlier. A lot of the stuff that's established the in the first movie, the high school drama, the pettiness, the who likes who, all that
Mhm.
stuff that I actually do find very compelling about that first movie. The way that it is
Mhm.
playing on immaturity and high school sort of tropes and things
Sure.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that, and I do think that for the most part, it establishes the character's motivations in this pretty well. I don't think they're necessarily played out to their conclusions or given enough time to breathe in the screenplay,
Mhm.
but I know because I saw that first movie that uh that Nessa likes Bach, and that Bach still has a head over heels for Glinda, and
Glinda.
that Elphaba and Fiero have a thing, like I know this whole web of things, and so when the characters interact in those ways, I'm like, okay, that actually this is a good continuation of that. It is a natural building on these tensions that were not brought to their conclusions in the first movie because it was waiting for those to happen
Mhm.
in the second movie, and so to the point of the slap fight. I saw that more of like the two of them haven't interacted a ton since everything went down at the end of the first
Yeah.
movie. They're like had
Yeah.
maybe one or two scenes together. With there's one with the wizard, pretty good musical
Mhm.
number. And also like when
Better Jeff Goldblum musical number than the first film,
for sure.
definitely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, when he does he does the fucking great dictator thing for actual this time.
He does the what now?
The
What'd you
great
say?
dictator thing. The Charlie Chaplin fucking
Oh, you're yeah.
globe
Oh, yeah.
globe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just heard a jumble of sounds there for a second. I was like, oh, what? Oh, whaty, what?
A great dictator scene for the reals
Yeah.
this time.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes, he does.
they haven't spent a lot of time together. They are still immature internally, even though they've been put into these roles.
Hmm.
And so I think the fact that they get a little bit catty ostensibly it's kind of fun,
Yeah.
and it does make sense, like the kind of like high school drama, like we saw them do this in the first movie. It hasn't been
Hmm.
that long, like, and they are both emotionally charged given the situation, so I don't know, I thought it was fine, but
Yeah. It just
the
feels
movie
like a
definitely
weird.
shifts tones. It definitely shifts tones.
To me, it feels like a reversion after they have
Sure.
this very mature and honest conversation that before they go see the wizard together.
Oh
When
yeah.
Elphaba shows up at
Yeah.
Glinda's tower basically
Yeah, yeah.
the night on her wedding night. And I was like, it just feels like a weird
Sure.
reversion. Again, this film has some real plotting and pacing issues of just like
Yeah.
having a jumble of scenes that don't really feel like they fit
It
together
jumps around a lot.
cohesively.
Yeah,
It jumps around a
and
lot.
that's why I was mentioning that I, in retrospect, and I think you probably agree with this, uh,
Hmm.
appreciate the focus of the first movie. And actually, I want to tie this into another criticism that I have, and I mentioned at the beginning, is I think this movie has its characters so separated that it feels like it's jumping around a lot because we got a lot of different
Hmm.
storylines to check in on at a lot of different times. A lot happens in this movie,
Yeah.
but I also think that that has a very solid negative effect on the songs because I think that a big part of why a lot of the songs work in the first movie is that they are being sort of sung between characters. You get the sort of back and forth of Fiero and Glinda. You get the back and forth of Glinda and Elphaba. Like
Hmm.
you
It's a lot of solo songs in this, especially.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're as compelling. I think that
No,
these are
they're not.
much more like the character dynamics evolve within the songs of the first movie. Popular is them going through the a process
Definitely.
of
Yes.
learning about each
Yes.
other and fighting a little bit, and that song kind of ends with a little bit of a twist on it, and they've learned a little bit of something.
Hmm.
Most of the songs in this movie are one person in one place, and frankly, without a lot of choreography. And also the
Yeah.
songs are like chunked up, like the song will just like stop and we'll like do a little bit of like normal scene and then the song will continue. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
don't do that. What the fuck is
Yeah,
happening?
there's no
I think the songs are across the board
where
not good in this movie.
I would tend to agree. Like, yeah, where are the dancey numbers that were so
Yeah.
fun in the first film? They're kind of nowhere to be found.
Because it tries to
Um,
imbue the songs with like a more serious tone of like,
right. They,
man,
they
this
we're doing
they
a lot of like ballads in
yeah,
this.
the characters are afraid, they're depressed, they're
Hmm.
stressed, and so it's kind of this just them being like talking through X negative emotion, whatever it fills in
Hmm.
that scene, as opposed to the I think the wider variety and a little bit more personality and character and interaction that make that first. I think the songs in the first movie are almost across the board very good. Some
Yeah.
very good dance numbers, a lot of good little fun
Yeah.
moments.
Definitely.
I I also think that the mixing in the songs are a little bit weird. I couldn't understand a
Oh,
lot of the
sure.
lyrics here. I was like,
Okay.
I would catch moments. I'm like, oh, I guess that's probably like the title of the song, and that's why you're enunciating it so much. But then I'd just be
Hmm.
like, wow, dude, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? But I don't like
Tucker, there
music
are,
in this.
yeah, there's also two new songs in this as well. "Girl in the Bubble" is new,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then "No Place Like Home." Elphaba's
Oh,
so one of Elphaba's solos is good too.
that's with
Is
the
new too.
animals. Um,
Yes,
that's okay. I think it's fine.
it's
The
okay.
one that I do like though, Tanner,
Oh,
is the last one is changed for the better, changed for good,
oh,
whatever.
for good.
Yeah,
Yes.
forget. I think that's a very good number. I think that
Yeah.
recovers
I
a lot
mean,
of the issues. They're working through their feelings with each other. They're sharing the
mhm.
experience. Granted, it is colored by this like Elphaba wants to kill herself, and now they're doing this song together. Uh,
They have been changed for good.
but I think
Absolutely, they
I think
have.
it's a great number. I think it's very
Uh,
clear that the interaction between the characters is
Yes,
good. I think it's
it is
some of the best
all
performance.
predicated on Arivo and Grande, who, of course, like both in the movie and outside of the movie, have generated and sort of formed this really palpable bond. I would
Yeah.
say.
And it's one of the few
Um,
moments in the movie where that can really sing in the performances.
correct.
Literally.
Literally sing. Yeah, Tucker, I didn't like this one too much. I think it's quite messy,
Yeah.
really sweaty and confused a lot of the
Sure.
time. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying this is a horrible film, but it's pretty damn clunky in my
Sure.
opinion.
No, and you know what? I was talking through it. I think I really do agree with you. I think
Yeah,
I give this movie a lot of goodwill because I ultimately do like the first one a lot more than I expected
yeah,
to.
yeah.
And I do think that the broad strokes of the continuations of the characters and the world and what that
Mhm.
establishes um, are pretty solid. And I like the two as two halves of a whole. Um, but X, Y, and Z, weird character
Yeah,
writing, but worse songs, very clunky, jumping around, strange ending, thematics maybe undercut a little bit. Um,
yeah.
this, yeah, it is. it's a hard screenplay to deal with. But
Certainly.
it's what we've got, and I'm like, ultimately, because it helps me appreciate the first movie and The Wizard of Oz a little bit more, I think I like it. But like,
Sure.
it could have been done a lot better, a lot tighter. It's just it's a really difficult story to tell, frankly.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go a 4.5 out of 10. Sorry,
Okay.
out of 4.5 out of 5.
I'll go higher. I'll just say a flat
Oh,
6 out of 10.
okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but it's done, Tanner. No more Wicked until we get fucking. They find
What
some
are we
fucking
gonna
way to
do?
do Wicked spin-offs or fucking
Well,
Wicked legacy
there's a ton
sequels.
of books, but I don't frankly know if Arrivo and Grande want to stick to this. I think that that perhaps this will breathe some life into the epic musical genre of
Yeah.
film in general. I certainly hope so. Anyway, and John M Chu is booked and busy, doing all sorts of franchise films and branded films and things of that nature. So, folks, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time in just the tick of a clock.
Wah! What the hell? We'll get a lot of this fucking girl. What is she doing? That was weird.
Yeah. Tucker, did you